accused 5, 6, 7, and 10, Mr. Namanje, accused 4, Mr. Kasper, accused 9 and 15, Ms. Kevan. I just wanted to indicate your worship before my colleagues confirm appearance that I'll be taking over the proceedings from now because my colleague Ms. Linda has another case in another court. So for the rest of the week I'll be taking over the proceedings.
Order. Concerns.
Please, the court, your worship, I confirm my appearance for first, third, and eighth accused persons, together with me, Erica Tayala. Please, the court, your worship.
Please, the court, your worship, I am appearing for accused number 4, standing in for Mr. Engelbrecht in respect of accused number 2, as well as Mr. in respect of accused number 3.
As the court pleases, I continue acting for accused number 5, 6, and 7, applicant number 1, 2, and 3. As the court pleases.
Your worship, the next applicant is accused number 1. If he can be called to the stand, your worship. That will be 4th applicants for purpose of this bail application.
Sir, what language do you prefer?
English, your worship.
Do you wish to make an oath or an affirmation?
I wish to make an oath, your worship.
Do you have any objection for taking the oath?
No objection.
Do you consider the oath binding on your conscience?
Yes.
Do you swear the evidence you shall give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? If so, raise your right hand and say, so help me God.
So help me God.
So, say your full names for the record.
Immanuel Mulunga.
Concern?
Please, the court, your worship. Your worship, before we go into the application, I intend to make a short opening statement, and to that end, I have prepared a bundle of few authorities I intend to refer to. I may beg leave to hand up the bundle, your worship. Please go to your worship. Your worship, first of all, and before I make any statement with regard to the nature of this application, since last week, when this application commenced, we've been with the documents at a later stage. And I would like to put it on record that on behalf of my clients, accused number 1, we shall object to any disclosure or any discovery of any document by the state at this stage. Now, your worship, we are dealing with a bail application in terms of section 60, read together with the 61 of the Criminal Procedure Act. The gist of this application is the liberty, the personal liberty as set out in Article 7 of the Namibian Constitution. Also, this court, in making a determination, this bail application, regard should be held to Article 5 of the Namibian Constitution. That article enjoins the executive, the legislature, and the courts to protect and uphold fundamental rights and freedoms. Your Worship, Article 11.2 of our Constitution is very clear. Anyone who is arrested is presumed innocent until proven guilty by an independent, impartial, and competent court. Not by social media, not by fake news, by a competent court, properly constituted. Also, relevant to this application, Your Worship, is Article 12, 1D, presumption of innocence. And more importantly, Your Worship, Article 12.1E, which provides that once you face any charges, the court must provide adequate time and facilities for the preparation and presentation of your defense. And this, Your Worship, goes against the approach of discovering or tendering documents in the midst of the hearing. And very important, Your Worship, is Article 12.3. Article 12.3 clearly stipulates that no one can be punished for a conduct or an act which was not a crime at the time when the conduct was done. I will come back to this because the facts and the evidence which is going to be led by the applicant will show that actually whatever the ACC or any other law enforcement have been doing, investigation, they did so in violation of the ACC Act, the Anti-Corruption Act. We say so, Your Worship, because the investigation, the arrest of the applicant, and indeed with the other accused person here present, was not justified. It was not done in the public interest. Why do we say so, Your Worship? Because, number one, during the evidence, we will show that actually the facts and the circumstances giving rise to the charges against the accused person, the applicant, they are either pending before other courts or other authorities, High Court, Labor Commissioner Office. Number two, the same facts and the circumstances gave rise to disciplinary action at the company level against the applicant, and the applicant was cleared of any wrongdoing. Number three, Your Worship, you realize that the evidence will show that whatever transpired was a contractual dispute entered into between two private entities, Your Worship, and underline private entities. We will show that when the applicant represented Namcor Trading and Distribution Pty Limited, he did so as a director of that private company. Your Worship, there is a confusion that the applicant negotiated and signed that contract, the asset purchase agreement, as the managing director of the Petroleum, the National Petroleum Corporation Company. That's not true, because we will show that when Mr. Mulunga signed that asset purchase agreement, he signed as the director of a registered private company called Namcor Trading and Distribution Pty Limited, which is a subsidiary company of the Petroleum Company, the Petroleum Corporation, which is the holding company, Your Worship. But we all know from the basic principle of company law, a shareholder has nothing to do with the company in which they hold shares. That is the concept of a separate corporate personality, as set out in the famous judgment of Solomon versus Solomon and the Company in the 17th century by the House of Lords in England, which remains binding all over the world. So we say Namcor Corporation, that is the petroleum company, which is, Your Worship, and I will refer to page 1 of the bundle which I just handed up now, Your Worship. That is the Petroleum Exploration and Production Act, number 2 of 1991. If we look at the section 8 of that act, Your Worship, that act creates a company called National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, section 8, and it sets out the function of that section. What we don't have in this act is a company called Namcor Trading and Distribution Pty Limited, because that entity is a private registered company with a separate board of directors, completely separate from its shareholders. Shareholder being the petroleum company where Mr. Mulunga was the managing director. And more so, Your Worship, the Namcor Trading and the Distribution Company, of course, it cannot be a public body because it's not a creature of statute, because it does not receive finances, its budget, it finances itself. The government does not give any cent to that company, and therefore it cannot qualify as a public body. While I'm still at the public body, Your Worship, I will take His Lordship to the Anti-Corruption Act, section 42. Section 42, no, 43.1, apology, Your Worship. 43.1 says that a public officer commits an offense who, directly or indirectly, corruptly, uses his or her office or position in a public body to obtain any gratification, whether for the benefit of himself or herself or any other person. And then 43.2, it says that for the purpose of subsection 1, proof that a public officer is a public body has made a decision or taken action in relation to any matter in which the public officer or any relative or associate of his or hers has an interest, whether directly or indirectly, is, in the absence of evidence to the contrary, which raises a reasonable doubt, sufficient evidence that the public officer has corruptly used his or her office. So, Your Worship, I'm reading 43 to demonstrate that for the ACC to be involved in any affairs of any entity, there must be evidence that entity is a public office or a public body. And then, Your Worship, this interpretation was confirmed in the Supreme Court judgment of the state versus Simon Nama Goabab. And another, that is, Your Worship, is the judgment just after the poker legislation in the folder which I just handed up. In that judgment, in the Chief Justice writing for the quorum, he defines what is corruption. And that is, Your Worship, I will refer to the relevant paragraph before I can move on. That will be the end of my opening statement. Apology, Your Worship. I'm looking for the relevant paragraph. That's the judgment of the Supreme Court. The judgment was delivered on the 15th of November 2012 at paragraph 14. At paragraph 14, the Supreme Court defined that there must be gratification or abuse of office by a public officer. That is in consonant with 43(1) and 2 of the ACC Act. Now, Your Worship, you see, if we look at the ACC Act again, I think it's section 32, which gives the competence or the jurisdiction of the ACC to conduct investigation. 32, Your Worship. (32) says, pardon, Your Worship. Yes, not 32, Your Worship. 18. 18 says that receipt and examination of allegation. The commission must receive information furnished to it by any person, and then be examine that information, and then, very important, Your Worship, 2, when deciding an investigation into an alleged corrupt practice is warranted, the commission may consider, number 1, the seriousness of the conduct or involvement to which the allegation relates. Number 2, or B, whether or not the allegation is frivolous or vexatious or is made in good faith. Number C, no, paragraph C, whether or not the conduct or involvement to which the allegation relates is or has been the subject of an investigation or other action by any other appropriate authority for purpose of any other law. This is very important, Your Worship. We submit, if the ACC has considered and applied its mind to paragraph C, they should not have been involved in this matter. Why do we say so, Your Worship? Because Mr. Mulunga was charged by the previous employer, brought before a disciplinary hearing, and he was cleared of any wrongdoing, we refer to the outcome of that disciplinary hearing. Namcor, the ex-employer, filed a referral or a dispute to the Labor Commissioner Office, complaining about the same conduct, the asset purchase agreement, the non-compliance with the credit policy, non-compliance with authority, giving fuel to a wrong petroleum. Your Worship, that matter was dismissed. We refer to the ruling, it's on the file. Your Worship, when Mr. Namanje was submitting, he referred to the ongoing civil claims against the applicant, accused number 1, against accused number 2, number 3, number 4, and the entities of Erongo, entities of Enacon, and their directors. Those cases, we are going to refer to them, they are ongoing civil claim. Now, the question is, why is ACC arresting people whose matters are pending in court? No, one may wonder, maybe they are trying to lend a hand to someone to assist in the battles, the legal battles against the applicant. And then D, 18D, another factor which the commissioner must take into account, Your Worship, whether or not in all circumstances the carrying out of an investigation for the purpose of this act in relation to the allegation is justified and in public interest. We submit this was not justified. The involvement in investigation, the arrest, it was not in public interest because there are other jurisdictions seized of with the same matters. This is duplication, waste of resources, public funds. And then, of course, the last one, paragraph 3, if the commission decides that an investigation in relation to the allegation is warranted on reasonable grounds, it must decide whether the investigation should be carried out by the commission or whether the allegation should be referred to another appropriate authority for investigation and action. That's what the AC should have done. They should have informed whoever is the complainant that, hang on, these matters are pending before other authorities, let them finish their work. We don't want to waste public funds. We don't want to duplicate things. So with those few remarks, Your Worship, I now beg leave to commence with the leading evidence of Mr. Immanuel Mulunga, accused number 1. Please, the court, Your Worship.
You can proceed.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have prepared, Your Worship, just to assist the court, a short summary of personal circumstances of Mr. Immanuel Mulunga. I beg leave to hand up, if the state has no objection, which is going to serve as a guideline for Mr. Mulunga, you are now on the stand. You have to speak up, to be confident. This is a court of law. Don't be scared of anyone. And you have to listen carefully and you answer the asked question. Mr. Mulunga, can you read the paragraph 1 of that document, the personal circumstances?
Yes, Your Worship. The applicant, Mr. Mulunga, is a 53-year-old Namibian male. He is a Namibian citizen by birth and considers Namibia his permanent home, having resided here since birth with all his social, economic, emotional, and family ties exclusively to Namibia.
Now, Mr. Mulunga, while you are still there, can you remember on which date and in which month you were born?
Yeah, I was born on the 4th of November, 1971.
Okay. And can you confirm to the court your current address, physical address?
Number 2, Heinertsburg Street, Luxury Hill, Windhoek.
Are you renting there or is this your own property?
It's my own property, Your Worship.
And do you own it alone, or you own it with any other person?
I own it alone.
And you have a title deed to that effect?
Yeah, well, the property is bonded to the bank, so I don't have the title deed myself, but yeah, it's my property.
Yeah, but if the court would want to see if you own the property, we can get a copy and a
Yes,
title deed of it.
yes.
Correct. Now, can you tell the court where you were born, where you grew up, and a bit of your education background?
Yeah. Yes, Your Worship. I was born in the north, in a village called Omuntele, in 1971. But I grew up mostly in Windhoek. I came to Windhoek when I was about 6 years old. And I schooled in Katutura for my primary school. And at high school, I attended Concordia College, where I held several leadership positions. And when I finished my school, I enrolled at the University of Namibia, where I also were in leadership position as an SRC. I earned a bachelor's degree in science, in chemistry and biology in 1993. And in 2000, I went to further my education in South Africa, where I obtained a Master of Business Administration from the University of Stellenbosch.
Thank you. What is your marital status, Mr. Mulunga?
I'm single, I'm unmarried. Or actually divorced, let me put it that way.
Yeah, it seems that you are not facing the mic in the middle.
Okay.
I just received the note from the court order. Thank you, Your Worship. How many children do you have?
Your Worship, I have 10 children.
How many?
10. And 8 of them are minors. 2 are, on their own, but yeah, I maintain the 8 children. So,
for purpose of this hearing, Mr. Mulunga, can you tell the court how old are they from the firstborn up to the lastborn?
yeah, the firstborn is 29 years old, and then the secondborn is 26 years old. And then I have a 22-year-old, and I have 2 18-year-olds. Then I have, I think, a 13 and a 12 and an 11 years. And then I have 2 that are younger than 5 years old.
Very good.
4 years.
So how many of them are minors?
8 of them are minors.
8, and you confirm to the court that they all depend on you?
Yes, they all depend on me.
You paying school fees, all their needs?
Paying school fees, maintenance, everything.
8 of them?
8 of them, yes.
Okay. Now, in terms of professional experience, can you take the court into your professional experience for when you finish your education at UNAM? Did you start working immediately?
Yes, I started working immediately at UNAM for about a year and a half in 1994 to 1995.
Yes.
And then I went to work at UNAM, at UNAM, yes, in the chemistry department, where I was a technical assistant and a lab technician.
Yes.
And then in 1995, I applied for a position at the Ministry of Mines and Energy, which I got as a petroleum inspector. And I worked in that position until the year 99.
Yes.
Then I went to do my MBA in South Africa, came back, left the ministry, went to work for BP for about a year. Then I came back to the Ministry of Mines and Energy.
In which year was that?
In 2003, I came back to the Ministry of Mines and Energy.
Yes.
I worked there as a petroleum commissioner for 12 and a half years.
Yes.
Until 2015, where I went to Namcor then as a managing director in 2015.
Oh, you joined Namcor in 2015?
2015, yes.
And from 2015 until when?
Yeah, until basically last year when my services were terminated by Namcor.
Until last year.
Yeah, 2024 October, 15th of October was my last day.
Yes, but before your contract was formally terminated, were you still there or you were on suspension?
Yeah, firstly I was on suspension from the 4th of April 2023. And before I could, and I was held on a disciplinary hearing, which I won the case, but immediately on the same day that I won the case, my services were terminated on these charges that I'm now facing today.
Okay, so let's go back on the issue of the disciplinary hearing, where you were acquitted, and then immediately a day after, your contract was terminated by Namcor.
That's correct.
Can you give more details on that?
Yeah, basically I was facing other charges relating to 6.7 million that I had apparently transferred to somewhere out of Namcor without board authority. And during the disciplinary hearing, this disciplinary hearing was chaired by a former judge of the Supreme Court, Advocate Maretz. And he found that indeed I had a board resolution that empowered me to do the actions that I did, and he therefore did not find me guilty of those offenses.
Okay.
However, I think Namcor wanted to join these charges onto that specific disciplinary hearing, which was already ongoing. And obviously that was not allowed by the chairperson of the disciplinary hearing. And when that happened, I think Namcor just decided to take unilateral action, and without having a further disciplinary hearing on these specific charges, just decided to dismiss me.
When you say specific charges, are you referring to the allegation relating to the asset purchase agreement and the fuel supply agreement?
Yeah. When you refer to the specific charge, what are you referring?
Okay.
So
Yes, Your Worship. So the specific charges that I am referring to are the charges relating to the asset purchase agreement with Enacon, together with the unpaid monies that is owed to Namcor by some of these companies. So it's basically the same charges that I am facing today.
In this criminal court?
In this criminal court.
And now, in my opening statement, I referred to the dispute between you and Namcor before the Labor Commission office. You remember?
Yes, I remember.
Can you tell the court briefly about those pending disputes?
Yeah, basically, we made a case for unfair dismissal, Your Worship, the Labor Commissioner. So when we did that, Namcor then also made their counterclaim to my claim of unfair dismissal. That hearing was done, and the Labor Commissioner's office found that Namcor's counterclaim.
Your Worship, in the interest of time, I think, given the fact that the applicant is entitled to put that there is a pending labor dispute, that in the interest of time, I don't think there will be any dispute from the state, just to put what the case is about without going into the merit, because it will never advance the applicant's case and it doesn't undermine the state case. As long as it is clear on the record that there is a labor case of this nature, then we move ahead, please.
We are fine with that proposition because in the interest of time, also we foresee that much time is being spent on the case that is not before court.
Yes, Counsel,
if we get to that case.
From the onset, I informed you, the court is on dealing with the bail application. Yes, can we deal with the bail application?
Yes, Your Worship. I know we are here for bail application, and I keep that in mind. but we have to make sure that the factual background of the charges, the present charges against the accused person is clear. And I will ask the court to go to the bundle. I have prepared some bundles which I'm now going to refer to, just like suggested by my colleagues, so that we can move faster. Please, the court, your worship. We'll be referring to the documents, and then yeah, that's it. For the state, the court. So, your worship, just while we are still on the labor issues, I will refer the court to page 172 up to 183. Mr. Mulunga, go to page 172, 183. But let's start with 104, your worship, 104. That is the pending dispute between the accused number 1 and Namcor. Are you there?
I'm there, your worship.
Yes. So, your worship, that is the dispute which is still pending. Can you look at that document and confirm to the court?
Yes, I can confirm that that is the dispute.
Can you confirm who is the applicant? If you go to page 105.
Yeah, the applicant is Immanuel Mulunga, and the respondent is the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, PTY Limited.
Yes. And what are you seeking in that dispute? You can go to page 108.
Yeah, I'm seeking either reinstatement to the position I occupied prior to the unlawful dismissal, or monetary compensation equivalent to the salary I would have received, but for the unfair dismissal, calculated from the 16th of October 2024, the date of finalization of the dispute, in the event that this dispute is finalized after the 15th of October 2024.
Counsel, for the record, can we agree that it's common cause there's a dispute pending before the Labour Commission?
Please, the court, your worship.
So
we move on.
Yes.
Now, can you go to page 172, your worship?
Yes, your worship, I'm there.
Can you confirm, identify that document to the court?
Yeah, it's a labor, it's a notice of a ruling by the Labor Act 2007, Rule 21.
Yes. What was the ruling by the arbitrator?
The ruling...
Your worship, without wasting the court time, the ruling is at page 182 and 183. And it's common because no one takes issue with that one. Now, let's go to Mr. Mulunga. Let's go to your employment contract with Namcor. Because you remember the charges you are facing, the state is alleging that you did not have authority to sign the asset purchase agreement. You misrepresented Namcor. That you did not have authority to give credit outside the credit limit to Erongo Petroleum, Eco Fuel, as well as Enacon. Your worship, let's look at the employment contract by the accused person at page 11. Page 11 up to 19. Page 11, your worship. Are you there? Mr. Mulunga?
Yes, I'm here. I'm there, your worship.
Yes. So you confirm this is the contract of employment you signed when you started working as a managing director of Namcor in 2015.
I confirm that this is the contract of employment for the renewal of my term that was signed in 2020, my second term,
Yes.
the 1st of October 2020.
Yes. Now, Your Worship, I want the accused person, the applicant, rather, to read at page 28, clause 19 of that employment contract. It's part of the JD, the job description and the duties of the managing director. At page 2018, paragraph 19.
Okay, 2018.
28.
28.
28.
Apology, Your Worship. It can't be. 28.
Where do you want me to read, Your Worship?
I said paragraph 19.
Manages relationship with external stakeholders such as the board, ministry, JV partners, other oil companies, potential investors, suppliers, and media.
Yes. Can you briefly tell the court what that clause entails as part of your job description?
Well, it basically means I manage all the relationships with not only the board, but other external stakeholders, such as government, ministry, joint venture partners, other oil companies. I mean, yeah, potential investors, suppliers, and media, and basically all the external stakeholders.
Yes. Now, you also confirm that when you are dealing with these oil suppliers like Enacon, Erongo, that falls under that paragraph.
That's correct. They are other oil companies.
Okay.
And suppliers as well.
Yes. Now, I want you to go to, Your Worship, to page 21 of the same employment contract. Page 21, specifically paragraph 21. 21 page, and then paragraph 21.
Yes.
Can you read the heading or subheading for that paragraph?
Grievances and disciplinary procedures.
Read 21, paragraph 1 into the record.
The parties undertake to abide by the company's laid down employment relations policy and grievance and disciplinary procedures, and it is expressly understood that such procedures form part of this agreement as incorporated herein. The managing director hereby states that he is acquainted himself with the contents of these documents and that he understands them.
Yeah, so 21 and 22, what is your understanding of these two paragraphs?
I mean, it means if there's any grievances between the parties, the disciplinary procedures need to be handled in a certain way.
And that all those internal policies, they form part of this employment contract.
That's correct, Your Worship.
And if you violate any of those policies, then the grievance and disciplinary procedures steps in.
That's correct, Your Worship.
Okay. Now, is it correct to say that when, let's say, this issue of lack of authority, misrepresentation of authority without the board, is it correct to say that actually the employer is supposed to invoke the internal remedies, that is disciplinary proceedings against you, rather than being prosecuted in a criminal court?
That's correct, Your Worship. That's the procedure that we were supposed to follow.
Okay. It appears you are putting words in. Anyway, it must be open-ended. One, so that you can, how you are saying, is it correct to follow?
Yeah, that's correct, Your Worship. I take note of that. So, Mr. Mulunga, of course, as a managing director, as an employee of Namcor, what will happen if you don't comply with your job description or any policy? of the employer?
In that case, the employer needs to invoke the grievances and disciplinary procedures and take me in front of a disciplinary hearing, like what they did before. They should have actually done that also in this particular case, for these charges that I'm facing.
Okay. Now, let's look at the asset purchase agreement, which is the main basis of the three charges against you, the three counts against you. Your Worship, that is at the page of this bundle, asset purchase agreement. It's 51 to 64. You see 51 to, while we are there, Mr. Mulunga, you keep one finger there, 51. I want you to go to, Your Worship, to go to page 1 of the same bundle.
Yes, Your Worship.
Are we together?
Yes, Your Worship.
That is count 1. If you can read, or for the sake of time, I will read it for you. The state alleges that during March 2022 and July 2022, and or near Windhoek, in the district of Windhoek, the accused, that is you, a public officer, to wit the managing director of Namcor, committed an offense by directly or indirectly, corruptly used his office or position in public body, to wit Namcor by making commercial offer to Enacon, Namibia Pty Limited, for the purchase of 9 service stations to obtain any gratification, whether for the benefit of himself or any other person or entities, by disregarding the policies, underlying policies and the procedure, and without board approval, entered into a purchase agreement with the Enacon, Namibia Pty Limited, and or its representatives, and therefore created a gratification of 53,212,000 for Enacon, Namibia Pty Limited, and or its representative for the benefit of himself and or Enacon, Namibia Pty Limited, or representatives and or Jennifer Mukwaya and or Cornelius Willemse and or Olivia Dunaski and or Pandulene Mukwaya and or Victor Simaneka Malima and or Austin Elao Elindi. That's count number 1.
Yes.
You can see this count, it relates to the agreement at page 51. Now, they are saying the state is accusing you of corruptly using your position to create gratification for all those entities listed there when you sign the commercial offer, when you sign the asset purchase agreement. And they say you did so in your public, in your position as a public officer. Now, I want you to go to that agreement, 51, Your Worship. I want you to identify the parties to that agreement.
Sure, Your Worship. The parties are Namcor Petroleum Trading and Distribution, Pty Limited. Herein referred to as a Namcor Trading, and Enacon Namibia Pty Limited. Herein jointly referred to as the parties.
And now, you as the managing director of the petroleum company, That is the company created under Section 8 of the Petroleum Act. Can you tell the court which entity is this? Namcor Petroleum Trading and Distribution Pty Limited.
Yeah, this company is not the company that I'm employed under, but this is a subsidiary of the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, Pty Limited, that is commonly referred to as Namcor. Because in these proceedings, I mean, it says Namcor, so I was not sure when they say Namcor here, which entity they are referring to. But it looks like they're referring to, when they refer to Namcor here, they refer to the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia.
Don't worry, the investigation officer will come and we ask him how they understood that Namcor.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, carry on explaining the relationship between this entity, which is a party to this asset purchase agreement, its relationship, and the Namcor, where you were the managing director.
Yeah, so this company, again, is, as you rightly pointed out, Your Worship, is a private company. It's a subsidiary of the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia. So it is not a public body. So that is a company that entered into the agreement with Enocon, Namibia Pty Limited, for the asset purchase agreement.
Okay. Now, this company, does it get finances from the government?
No, it doesn't get finances from government. It actually generates its own funds, its own income, its own revenue.
Okay. Does it have its own board of directors?
It does indeed have its own board of directors, and I am one of those directors. There are 3 directors. And
Not I am. I think you were.
Sorry, I was. I was one of the directors, and there are other two directors as well.
Okay. And those directors were responsible for the affairs and operation of this private entity.
That's correct, Your Worship.
Your Worship, whether it's a slip of the tongue, because at points, at some instances, instead of putting open-ended questions, questions are being suggested to the witness. I think it would be ideal to let the witness tell us, pose questions to him, not give answers to him. It creates a problem that we have to object because I'm saying we are objecting because our answers are being given to the witness. Let the witness tell us the circumstances under which Namcor Petroleum Trading and Distribution operated under. He can explain to us because he said he was a director there. The court pleases.
Please, the court, Your Worship, I will always try to rephrase so that I don't give, but I can't give the answers because I never worked for that company.
Yes, but you understand the objection.
I take note of the objection, Your Worship. Yes.
But I'm just putting the companies that managed by board of directors. Why don't you let him speak? How was the company managed?
Yes.
So that he can tell us.
Mr. Mulunga, except you said you were one of the directors. Who were the other directors of this private entity?
At that particular stage, maybe I can refer you to page 214, Your Worship.
214, Your Worship?
Yes, 214 and 215. There's a letter there on the letterhead of Namcor Trading and Distribution. And on the bottom you can see, it says the Board of Directors, Master Timotheus Ekanjo, Chairperson, Master Immanuel Mulunga, Managing Director, Master Engel Kongoro, Director. So those are the 3 directors of Namcor Trading and Distribution. And if you go on to page 215, you will see the same thing.
The same, yes. Can
Same
you read it?
Board of Directors, Master Timotheus Ekanjo, Chairperson, Master Immanuel Mulunga, Managing Director, Master Engel Kongoro, Director of Namcor Trading. And there's many other examples. In fact, on all the letters or letterheads of Namcor Trading and Distribution, which is a separate company, you will see that obviously the Board of Directors are mentioned at the bottom of the page.
Please, the court, Your Worship. May I proceed?
You can proceed.
Now, while we are still at the, they say in count 1, the state is saying that you corruptly used your office or position in a public body to wit Namcor when you made an offer to Enacon. What is your answer to that?
Yeah, obviously that cannot be correct, as we just pointed out, Your Worship, that the company that signed, or where I signed these agreements on whose behalf I signed these contracts, that company was not a public body. I didn't sign these contracts on behalf of Namcor, which they refer here to, which I believe is the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia. So I signed these contracts as the Managing Director of Namcor Trading and Distribution, which is a subsidiary of the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, which is commonly referred to as Namcor.
And the still on count 1, they allege that you made a commercial offer to Enacon for the purchase of 9 service stations. Let's go to that offer. You know, can you, Your Worship? Let's go to that commercial, the offer by Namcor to Enacon.
Before you proceed, so if I understand your evidence, is it correct then to say you were the Managing Director of Namcor and also the Managing Director of the subsidiary?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. The offer, Your Worship, the offer, I think it's in the bundle which was handed up by...
It's at page 63, Your Worship.
63, please about Your Worship, of the bundle by the first and second and third applicant. But also in the same bundle, Your Worship, pardon me, the same bundle by the bundle which I handed up, 63, is the note by Namanja's bundle. Mr. Mulunga, we are there, page 63.
Starting as page 61.
I'm there, Your Worship. 63.
Yeah, 63.
Now, can you confirm to the court the date of this offer?
It's the 8th of July, 2022, Your Worship.
And can you tell the court, since you are the one who made the offer, can you confirm the purpose or the scope of this offer to the court?
Okay. Your Worship, this offer and the asset purchase agreement has to be read in context to the fuel supply agreement that was signed between Namcor Trading and Distribution and Enacon Namibia, Pty Limited. Because this offer and the asset purchase agreement are both creatures of the fuel supply agreement between Namcor Trading and Distribution and Enacon Namibia. Perhaps, if I may suggest, maybe we can go there first so that we can lay the foundation to actually say why this offer was made in the first place.
Yeah, let's move there.
Okay.
The fuel supply agreement between Namcor and
Enacon Namibia, yes.
Yes. Please, court, Your Worship. That is at page 185, Your Worship.
Yes.
185.
So, may I proceed, Your Worship? Oh, okay.
Yeah, just
Okay.
be a bit patient.
Okay.
185.
Yeah.
Confirm to the court the parties to this agreement and then the purpose of this agreement.
Yes. The parties to this agreement are Namcor Petroleum Trading and Distribution Pty Limited and Eneco Namibia Pty Limited. So
We go to the next page.
the next page on 186, the preamble says that whereas the buyer wishes to purchase products exclusively from seller for its customer, the Ministry of Defense and Veterans Affairs, Government of the Republic of Namibia, government, and whereas the seller has agreed to sell to buyer the product subject to and in accordance with the terms and conditions of this agreement, read with the seller's credit terms and conditions attached hereto under Schedule 3, as amended from time to time.
Yes. So you confirm the buyer. Who is the buyer here? And who is the seller?
Yeah, the buyer would be Eneco Namibia Pty Limited. And the
Yes.
seller would be Namcor Trading and Distribution.
Okay. And can you confirm, can you read the duration at page 187?
Before you proceed, what does that mean? What you read? What does it mean?
It means this is a fuel supply agreement between a seller and a buyer to basically agree on the terms and conditions of that relationship. The seller is Namcor Trading and Distribution, who would sell petroleum products to the buyer, who is Eneco Namibia Pty Limited.
While you are still there, the first on the preamble, it says, whereas the buyer wishes to purchase products exclusively from the seller.
Yes, that means, maybe I need to explain that means that the buyer, if this agreement would be signed, which was signed, that the buyer cannot buy products from any other supplier. They would be buying exclusively from Namcor.
For instance,
Namcor
they can't buy
Trading
from Total, they can't.
No, because before this agreement was signed, Eneco Namibia used to buy products from whoever they wanted. But to lock them in, to only buy from Namcor, that's why we entered into this agreement.
Okay.
And you were asking about the duration, Your Worship. It says here that this supply agreement shall commence on the effective date and shall remain in force for a period of 10 years, unless terminated earlier.
For 10 years.
Yes.
Now, can you confirm to the court when this agreement was concluded and signed by both parties?
Yes.
And who signed on behalf of both parties?
I can confirm that, Your Worship.
We are at page 210, Your Worship.
Okay.
210.
Yeah, so it was signed by the buyer, signed on behalf of the buyer by Peter Ango Elindi as a chairperson. And there's Rebecca Erastus as acting general manager. And then the seller was Namcor Petroleum Trading and Distribution Pty Limited. I was the signatory to that. And it was signed on the 16th day of March, 2022.
2022.
That's correct.
Thank you, Your Worship.
But
Now,
what I wanted to bring to your attention when I brought us here is clause 4.5
of the same agreement.
of the same agreement
Yes, Your Worship.
At what page?
on page 190, Your Worship.
190.
Yes.
Yes.
So according to this agreement, there's a clause 4.5 that talks about the buyer's equipment.
Yes.
And this is very important because this is basically the soul of everything that we are discussing today.
Yes. Can you go ahead and read it into the record?
Yeah. 4.5.1 says the seller and buyer to enter into negotiations with respect to the purchase of all assets, pumps, canopy, and tanks and related equipment belonging to the buyer, herein referred to as equipment at a market-related value to be established by the parties' joint technical team. The parties further agree to negotiate within a reasonable time an amount that could be set off against the debt owed by the buyer, if any, at the time of negotiations with regards to the acquisition of the equipment.
Okay.
So the offer that we were referring to earlier and the asset purchase agreement emanates from this agreement.
From that clause.
Yes. From this specific clause that I read just now.
Okay. Because you remember, you were in court when the first applicant, when the state was actually alleging that Enacon sold Namcor dreams. Do you remember?
Yes, I remember, Your Worship.
What is your comment to that?
No, that's factually incorrect. It's factually incorrect because I've just read why those equipment actually were sold and for what purpose.
But in compliance with the 4.51 at page 190,
Yes.
in compliance with this clause, what did the party do after? Can you take us to the document or to any evidence or oral or documentary evidence to confirm what was done in compliance with this clause?
In compliance with this clause, the Namcor team obviously went to look at the assets, the engineering department, and verified obviously the ownership of the assets and verified the price of the assets through the asset register that was provided, and they went out physically to inspect the equipment at the various sites of the Ministry of Defense. The various sites of the Ministry of Defense, the various bases. And then Namcor also employed an independent person to also verify the assets. And then the Namcor team, the commercial team, then made a proposal to myself as the managing director.
Okay.
Yes.
Before you proceed, I just want to know, when you are referring to the Namcor team,
Yes.
are you referring to Namcor or are you referring to Namcor Trading?
I'm referring to Namcor Trading, Your Worship, because everything here, every relationship, all these things that we're talking about are in relation to Namcor Trading and Distribution.
Yes, I just want to
Yes,
hear
yes.
which one you are referring to.
Yeah, so the Namcor, National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, the mother company, the holding company, did not do any business in relation to what we are discussing here today. They're just a holding company. The trading company is the one that does this type of business.
Now, Your Worship, if we can move to page 67. I heard you talking about independent evaluation or asset evaluation. Can you confirm if this is the evaluation report you are talking about, or any other? Page 67, Your Worship.
Yeah, Your Worship, this is...
Just a minute.
Okay.
Identify the document to the court.
Your Worship, in addition to Namcor Trading's own valuation by the engineering team, Namcor Trading saw it fit to go out to an external independent company to also do an asset valuation so that we can compare what the Namcor engineering team's valuation is. And this is what you're referring to here, page 67, with a total amount of 55,346,734 Namibian dollars.
Can you Can you, because remember the document is 2 pages, you have to ensure that the document is complete.
Yeah, so
Can you
this is-
confirm the person who did the evaluation?
it's Mr. JFD Everson,
For which company?
Seal Consulting Engineers.
And then what happened thereafter?
Thereafter, we can turn to page 65,
Yes.
Your Worship, where the commercial manager, Olivia Dunaiski, wrote an internal memorandum to myself.
Before you carry on, Olivia Dunaski, that accused number 4.
That's correct, Your Worship. And if I can just, if the court can give me an opportunity to read this internal memorandum into the record,
Yes, Your
just to
Worship.
give context.
You can proceed.
So it says the purpose of this submission, the objective of this submission is to request approval from the Namcor Petroleum Trading and Distribution Pty Limited to take over the current Enecon assets, Enecon Namibia assets. The background, the Enecon Namibia is a Namcor customer since 2021, since November 2021. Enecon Namibia currently has an agreement with Namibia Defence Force to supply them with petroleum products till 2031. They have been supplying the Ministry of Defense with petroleum products since 2014, and part of the agreement was to ensure relevant infrastructures are in place to fulfill their obligation towards the contract. Currently, Enecon's amount has not been paid up due to non-payments from the Ministry of Defense. Enecon Namibia has then agreed that Namcor take over their assets to cover their debt, whereby 25 million will be allocated to the current Enecon debt. And on the following page it goes on to say, additionally, Namcor would like to become the preferred supplier to the Ministry of Defense in the long run. And through acquiring these assets, it will put Namcor in a favorable position for future business relations with the Ministry of Defense. The feasibility study results were favorable in acquiring the assets of Enecon Namibia worth 53,212,000. Namcor has made provision for this takeover in the current financial year's budget. Therefore, no debt financing is required. In addition, the external valuation of the assets was valued at 55,346,734, which we just saw by Seal Consulting. However, Namcor opted to go by the internal valuation of 53,212,000. The approval request, due to the urgency of the asset takeover to ensure we reduce our current outstanding debt and get closer to the Ministry of Defense contract as a preferred primary supplier, the Sales and Marketing Department would hereby like to request the approval hereof. And in the conclusion, the Sales and Marketing Department herewith kindly requests that the Managing Director approve the above request. It was ordered by Olivia Dunaiski, supported by Davis Maposa, supported by Cedric Willemse, recommended by Nestor Shefeni, Executive Engineering, and then approved by myself as the Managing Director.
So you confirm all that is the Olivia accused number 4?
That's correct, Your Worship.
And supported by Acting Executive Sales and Marketing. Who is that one?
Davis Maposa.
Is he part of the accused persons?
No, he's not.
And then supported again by Cedric Willemse, that is the accused.
Number 2.
And then recommended by Executive Engineering.
Yes, Nestor Shefeni.
Is he part of the accused persons?
No, he's not, Your Worship.
And then, of course, approved by you as the Managing Director.
That's correct.
Now, when you received this internal memorandum on the 8th of July 2022, what did you do?
No, I mean, I signed it, and obviously I allowed the team to proceed.
Okay.
With the transaction.
Okay.
And I think the next step that happened was, I believe, the signing of that, or first the offer, that was made to Enecon, and then the subsequent signature of the asset purchase agreement as per the fuel supply agreement.
Yes, as you read it into the record, that's paragraph 4.5.1.
That's correct, Your Worship.
Your Worship, may we move to page 217? I think the witness also would like to say one or two things about. Can you identify this document to the court?
Page
217, Your Worship. Check that document properly and identify it to the court.
Yes, Your Worship, this is also an internal memorandum signed on the 8th of July, or well, dated 8th of July 2022, to the Sales and Marketing and Supply and Logistics Department from the Engineering and Technical Services Department. And the subject is Assets Evaluation Reports for Commercial Installation at Namibia Defense Forces bases.
Okay?
Now, if I understand, just to clarify, the memorandum at page 65, as well as the memo at page 217,
Yes, Your Worship.
was written by employees of Namcor Trade,
Yes, yes.
not of Namcor.
Yeah, well, I believe the Olivia Dunaski accused number 4 was employed by Namcor Trading and Distribution. If my memory serves me well.
Hang on.
Yeah, okay.
The court is still making notes.
Nestor Shefenu, I'm not so sure whether he was employed by the Namcor National Petroleum Corporation or Namcor Trading and Distribution, but obviously he was working for these purposes, he was working for Namcor Trading and Distribution, because this is Namcor Trading and Distribution related activities, not activities of
Yes,
Namcor.
that is why I asked whether the letter or the memo was written by these employees from Namcor Trading to the managing director of Namcor Trading, and not as employees of Namcor to the managing director of Namcor.
That is
Do you
good.
understand?
Yes, I understand your worship.
That is the position.
That is the position.
So Namcor Trading had its own employees apart from Namcor itself.
Yes, there were some employees that were employed by Namcor Trading and Distribution, but there were some employees that were, like myself, who was firstly are employed by National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia. I can also confirm that accused number 2 was also employed by Namcor Trading and Distribution.
Thank you, Worship. We are at page 217. The witness was yet to read into the record the subject and the background.
Yes, introduction and background. This report outlines the asset value as per the evaluation undertaken by engineering team from the 11th to the 19th of May 2022 at the following military bases: Seiderhof, Osona, Gobabas, Grootfontein, Rundu, Oluno, Oshivelo, Wolfish Bay, and Keetmanshoek. The evaluation report was done based on the following assumptions: the unit prices for the equipment as per the cost from the suppliers, inclusive of transport. The rate for the pump and tank installation is different for a 25 cubic meters versus a 46 cubic meters and an 83 cubic meters is estimated based on experience and the current market rate, since there are no invoices from Enercon for the work done by the service providers. The rate of the piping, sums, and fittings have been calculated for one tank and multiplied with the number of tanks for each site to determine the total costs for the piping, sums, and fittings for each site. The complete evaluation was done on assets replacement value. Summary of the asset evaluation for each site is listed on table 1 below. For a detailed costing, refer to attached annexure A. And the next page goes on to talk about Table A, the summary of the asset evaluation
Yes.
in the different bases, which gave a total value of $53,211,951.39. And then this was signed by Mr. Nestor Shefeni, who's the Executive Engineering and Technical Services.
Can we proceed, Your Worship? Now, if you go to the next page, that Annexure A, it's attached to this internal memorandum
That's correct, Your Worship?
at page 219.
Yes.
Are you there?
I'm there.
Your Worship, the document goes up to page 223. We don't want to belabor the court by going through each and every item because this was I think it was discussed at length with the previous applicants. Please, the court, Your Worship. Now, can you go to page, Mr. Mulunga, page 224 of the same bundle, Your Worship?
I'm there, Your Worship.
Can you identify this document, the heading of this document, and the name of the document?
It says Namcor Petroleum Trading and Distribution Pty Limited, Project Feasibility Model for Enecon Namibia Assets Takeover by Financial Analyst.
You, as a managing director, can you tell the court who ordered or who directed this project feasibility model?
Your Worship, what we normally used to do when I was managing director of Namcor, in order for you to make an investment, either to build new bulk storage facility for a customer or take over feasibility that's owned by another supplier, you have to do a project feasibility to see whether if you continue with the investment, if you purchase those assets, it will actually make financial sense for Namcor, whether it's profitable for Namcor Trading and Distribution. Because you can't just go ahead and buy assets or invest into assets if you don't know whether it's going to be profitable or not. So hence we do this project feasibility model as standard practice in the industry, or as standard practice in Namcor Trading, to make sure that we don't just enter into any commercial arrangements that doesn't make profitable sense.
Yes. Can you turn to page 225 of the same document, 225, Your Worship?
Yes, Your Worship. I'm there.
That's the table of table of content. And then we move to page 226, Your Worship, 2026. I want you to take the code through the outcome or the feasibility study results at page 226.
Yes, Your Worship. So the main findings of this feasibility study basically were then as follows. The internal rate of return, IRR, was 19%. The net present value over 10 years was 22,102,352. The profitability index, NPV divided by initial investment, is 42%. The average margin of safety, 79.03%. The payback period was 4 years. The WACC, which is called the weighted average cost of capital, is 11%. And the return on investment is 60%. And then the result,
yes,
and the recommendation. So the result is that our IRR is higher than the weighted average cost of capital, meaning that the project is financially feasible. The NPV is positive, meaning the project is financially feasible. The profitability index is higher than the weighted average cost of capital, meaning the project is financially feasible. The average margin of safety is higher than 25%, meaning that the project is operationally secure. And the expected payback period is the payback period is 4 years, while obviously the lifespan of the contract was 10 years, meaning that the payback is within the required period. So you will pay back the investment within the 10 years of the agreement.
Or as per the duration of the agreement which we referred to.
That's correct, Your Worship.
Yes, Your Worship. The document goes up to page 244. For the sake of time, we don't need to go through each and every item. But to finish on this document, who participated? Who were the authors of this feasibility report or project?
I think there's an author at the back. I think there's a financial analyst by the name of can't find his name. Mr. Yes, his name is Sam Ashela, I believe. He's the author. He's the person that did this feasibility study.
Yeah, because here it says project leader, financial analyst.
Yes, his name is Mr. Sam Ashela.
Okay, now, so based on all this, the project feasibility analyst, financial analyst, on the independent evaluation report, and then, of course, there was also recommendation by the engineering department of the trading and the distribution company. Then that led to the signing of the asset purchase agreement.
That's correct, Your Worship.
Let's go back to that agreement at page 51, Your Worship. Are you there?
I'm there, Your Worship.
Okay.
At page 51, Your Worship. I want, Your Worship, I want the witness to confirm at page 62 when this contract was concluded, 61 and 62.
This contract was signed by Enecon. It was signed on the 15th day of July 2022, and by Namcor on the 18th day of July 2022.
So the effective date is the
18th of July 2022.
And now, if you look at this contract, I want you to go to clause 6 of that contract.
I'm not objecting, Your Worship. I just want to, so that it's fair to my clients, if I can. I'm not objecting.
Yeah.
Remember that for the witness to confirm the effective date, it is a statement by my colleague saying after asking.
Yeah.
So on the 15th day of July 2022, it was signed by Enecon,
Yeah.
and on the 18th by Namcor Trading.
Yeah.
Remember when Mr. Peter Erindi and also Marakia Erindi were testifying,
Yeah.
they said that the agreement did not describe what is the effective date.
Yeah.
It has signing date, but it, like usual agreement, it did not describe what would be operative day, like for instance, when would be the, notwithstanding the signing, what would be the effective date. Why I wrote is simply to place on record. I think that issue must not be put to this single witness as a confirmation, as if it is common cause that the effective date was the 18th or the 15th. We must leave it for argument so that the court, with reference to argument by both parties, will determine whether there is an effective date or there is no effective date, or the effective date is the 15 or 18. Remember that my clients the responsibility of witnesses is simply to say what they understand, but not necessarily to interpret the agreement, because that is your function, your worship.
Understand, but you are correct as per your client.
Yes.
But I understand the fourth applicant to say
Yes.
the effective date was the date on which he signed, 18 July.
No, it's not him who he confirmed. All I'm trying to say, we must avoid, because it's an issue that was left open by my client. My client do not want to find themselves in a situation where something is just left as if it's not available for the court to decide at the end of the day.
That's why I'm saying it. I understand the position of your client.
Yes.
But I understand his position to say
Yes.
the effective date was 18 July.
On the 18th of July.
Yes. That is what his testimony is.
Yeah, but I only rose to say it must not be suggested.
That is why, okay, that's why I'm saying I understand your position.
As the court is.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Mulunga?
Your worship,
Yeah.
your worship, if I may.
I think
continue.
this issue can be raised during cross-examination, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to support what I said earlier about the effective date.
Yes.
And if you go to page 54, that same
Yes, Your
agreement.
Worship.
Just one,
Okay.
54.
Yeah, 1.3. Yeah, I mean, it does say that the effective date and transfer of assets, the purchase of the assets and transfer of the ownership of the assets to Namcor Trading shall be effective on the date when the last party signs this agreement. Effective date.
Please, Your Worship.
That's why I said the effective date was on the 18th of July 2022.
We can proceed.
Now, if you look at this contract, just like all contracts, I want you to go to, I'm not taking you to this variation and discharge. I will just take you to clause or paragraph 6, clause 6 of that agreement, page 57, Your Worship.
I'm there, Your Worship.
Can you read it into the record?
Clause 6 talks about breach, and it says, should either party commit a material breach of the current agreement and fail to remedy that breach within 14 days after receipt of written notice from the other party calling upon them to do so, then the aggrieved party shall be entitled to terminate the agreement without prejudice to any other legal remedies that it may have under law.
Does this breach, if either party fails or refuses to do anything in terms of this contract, does it provide for criminal prosecution?
That's not my understanding. I don't think so. That, in fact, it doesn't.
Okay. Go to paragraph 8, Your Worship. Page 58.
I'm there, Your Worship.
Can you read that clause into the record?
Clause talks about arbitration.
Yes.
Any dispute between the parties with respect to any matters arising out of the current agreement or its interpretation or their respective rights and obligations under the current agreement or its cancellation or any matters arising out of its cancellation shall first be referred to the executive management of the parties for resolution. In the event that the dispute cannot be resolved at the level within the 14 days of such referral, it shall be submitted to and decided by arbitration in accordance with this clause.
Yes. And then, of course, Your Worship, we don't want to read what must be done, but what is clear is what will happen if either of the parties does not comply or there is any dispute. Now, again, I will ask you for the record, with regard to the arbitration, go through up to 80.6. Slowly, see if there is any reference to criminal prosecution in the event that there is a problem.
You want me to read it?
No, no, you don't need to go through it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, I don't see any reference here to criminal prosecution.
Now,
If there is a breach.
now, Your Worship, Mr. Mulunga, when you sign this contract, you sign, if you go to page 51, you say, 51, you say, let's look at in which capacity did you sign this contract?
I signed this contract in my capacity as Managing Director of Namcor Petroleum Trading and Distribution, Pty Limited.
Now, in whose favor and for whose benefit was this contract?
Well, I mean, it was for the benefit of both parties. Namcor Trading and Distribution would benefit from it because they would acquire these assets for themselves and use these assets to then supply fuel to Enercon for a period of 10 years and therefore making money. And it's not small volumes, it's to supply a minimum of 700,000 liters per month to Enercon. And they would, get a payback, of that investment within 4 years, and the next 6 years then would be basically for profits. So it was beneficial for Namcor, and obviously also beneficial for Enercon Namibia because, it's a commercial transaction.
Yes. When you signed this contract, were you expecting any personal benefits from this contract?
Absolutely not, Your Worship.
Is it a common practice, or is there any law in Namibia of which you may be aware that you, as an agent, as a representative, when you sign a contract on behalf of a juristic entity, you may be prosecuted for signing that contract?
No. I mean, if that was the case, I would never have become a managing director of any company. And in fact, nobody would want to become managing director of any public body if it's clear that they can actually be prosecuted because they signed an agreement on behalf of that entity. It's not logical.
Apart from this contract, at page 51, have you signed any other contract on behalf of Namcor Trading, Petroleum and Distribution? Namcor Trading and Distribution Pty Limited?
Yes, of course, Your Worship. My duty as Managing Director of Namcor Trading and Distribution was to sign this type of contracts. And I signed them on a regular basis. So it wasn't only this asset purchase agreement, it was many other agreements as well. And I've signed asset purchase agreements with other companies before.
Your Worship, that takes us to, let's go to page 1 of the same bundle. That takes us to count 2, fraud, where the state is alleging that during the same period, you as the managing director of Namcor, I don't know which Namcor they are talking about, I think the state will, the investigation officer will come and say which Namcor, that actually I have to read from the chapeau. It says that whereas the accused, that is you, did during the period March 2022 to July 2023 and or near Windhoek, in the district of Windhoek. Of course, Your Worship, this is supposed to be he, but they wrote there. I don't know. He did wrongly, unlawfully, falsely, and with intent to defraud. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there, Your Worship.
To defraud and give out and pretend to Namcor. That you pretended to Namcor. That you as a managing director, you had an authority to make an offer and the acquisition of the assets to wit 9 service stations owned by Ministry of Defense. Now, do you understand that accusation?
Yes, I understand it, Your Worship.
Does it make sense to you?
No, it doesn't make sense.
Can you explicit?
It doesn't make sense, firstly because, as we established, that I signed this agreement on behalf of Namcor Trading and Distribution. And I could not, therefore, make or pretend to Namcor that I was doing it because I had the authority. And secondly, yeah, I mean, firstly, we didn't buy, Your Worship, we didn't buy 9 service stations. Just to put that on record.
Yes.
It's very clear what we bought. We bought bulk fuel storage facilities from Enercon.
You bought what?
We bought bulk fuel storage facilities that you can also refer to as assets, as storage assets from Enercon. And these assets were not, as far as we knew at that time, and even now, these assets were not owned by the Ministry of Defense.
Who owned them?
These facilities, these bulk fuel storage facilities were owned by Enercon Namibia, as it has been established. And I have not seen any counter arguments or documentary evidence to say that indeed they were owned by the Ministry of Defense.
Yeah, it's a very strange story, actually. Yeah, because you were part to the contract, you negotiated, you ordered directed the teams, technical teams, to do the evaluation. We have seen the teams, but then someone somewhere says, actually, you bought dreams, you bought empty shell from Enercon, but we hear from the investigation officer. Yes. Now, go to B.
And
that you pretended to Namcor that such fuel stations were at the time wholly owned by Enercon Namibia. Does this make any sense to you?
No, it doesn't make sense. This is factually incorrect.
Because, Mr. Mulunga, you were the buyer.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
If you are the buyer, how can you make representation about the subject matter of the sale? It's only the seller who can make misrepresentation about the ownership.
Precisely, Your Worship.
Worship, I object because I don't know whether he is leading or cross-examining his witness. I think something needs to be clear here.
No, I think I will have to do that during closing argument. I agree with his lordship, his worship. Yes. Now, C, that counters paragraph C of count 2. They say you also pretended to Namcor that the shareholder of Enercon had the authority to sell and or dispose of such assets to Namcor Namibia. Again, how can you pretend? Can you explain? Does this make any sense to you?
No, it doesn't make any sense to me, Your Worship. If I knew that the shareholders of Enercon Namibia pretended to sell something and dispose of something that is not theirs, I would not have signed this agreement. Because I was certain, because of the information that was brought to my attention as managing director, that in fact, the assets were theirs and they had the authority to sell or dispose of these assets to Namcor Trading and Distribution Namibia.
Mr. Mulunga, do you sit on the board of Enercon Namibia?
No, I don't, Your Worship. No, I don't.
Is it your business to know whether people have authority or not when they are coming from another juristic entity?
No, it's not my business, Your Worship.
I will not bother you with the alternative relating to theft by false pretense because it's exactly the same story, the same vague and the meritorious charges being made in count 2. But let's move to count 3. Your Worship, at page 2. Here, counter 3, they are saying that you contravened or you section 35(3)(a) and B, read with section 32 and 49 of the ACC Act, because you corruptly accepted gratification by or giving gratification to an agent. They don't mention who is this agent, but they carry on, they say, in that between 15 and 18 August 2022, again there are spelling problems here, at or near Windhoek, in the district of Windhoek, they accuse being you, they accuse an agent of Namcor. Can you comment on this one before we carry on?
Again,
for the purpose of the record.
Again, in all these transactions, in these business transactions, I was not acting as an agent of Namcor. And again, the Namcor that is probably referred to here is the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, which is commonly referred to as Namcor. But I was acting as a representative of Namcor Trading and Distribution.
That you, as the managing director, indirectly and corruptly accepted from Simaneka Victor Malima, I don't know who is this one, the shareholder of Eco Trading CC. Eco Trading CC, a motor vehicle to wheat, Audi AU 65XQ8, engine number DH U038502, VIN number WUA ZZF19PDO35434, registration number N172/340W, valued at 3,193,248.59 as a reward for the accused as the managing director of Namcor to facilitate the purchase of 9 service stations and or supply of fuel to Enacon, Namibia, and or Erongo Petroleum CC without payment. Are you following?
Yes, I'm following, Your Worship.
Yes. According to the state, this charge, if we in a layman's language, is that you facilitated the purchase of 9 service stations for Enacon and Namcor. Yes. And in addition to that, you also facilitated the supply of fuel to 3 entities: Enacon, Namibia, Erongo Petroleum, and just 2. Enacon, Namibia, and Erongo Petroleum. And because you did facilitate to get them fuel for free, they say without payment. Now, can you tell the court whether at any time you did facilitate free fuel for these 2 entities?
No,
when and how?
I mean, there was no such incident that happened. I mean, it's in fact ludicrous to suggest that I, as a managing director of Namcor Trading and Distribution, who is not really part of the operational activities, those activities are left by, or left to the officials to carry out. I, as managing director, do not supply fuel to any of these companies. My duty is basically to do what I'm supposed to do according to the schedule of authority, either to sign off agreements, or if there's an application that comes to me, whether it's for credit facility or for credit limits and things like that, there obviously I would play a role, but I am not the one that facilitates these things. And in fact, we just established that for the bulk fuel storage facilities that Namcor bought, there was a process that was followed that emanated from a commercial agreement between Namcor Trading and Distribution and Enecon, the fuel supply agreement. So there's nothing that I personally, as managing director, could have facilitated in the absence of the process that was followed.
Now, let's go to the gratification or the reward. They say a certain Malima of Eco Trading CC. Do you know this guy? Sorry, pardon, I'm not supposed to use guy. Do you know this gentleman?
Yeah, no, I got to know him because obviously he was one of the, he became one of the clients of Namcor by the time that I was there.
Okay. What is your answer to this allegation that he gave you a reward about this motor vehicle? Do you, I don't want to be accused of giving answers to you.
Yeah, let me...
just explain about that allegation about the motor vehicle.
Firstly, I do not own such a motor vehicle. Secondly, I was not given that motor vehicle. Oh, okay.
Take your time.
Okay. Okay. Firstly, I do not have ownership of that vehicle. I do not possess that vehicle. I was not offered that vehicle. Yeah, I mean, and I believe Mr. Victor Malima was not a director of Enecon at that specific time. Or he was not in charge.
You have to be specific. What do you mean? That is the
when we were negotiating the bulk fuel storage facility.
That was in July
2022.
2022.
Yeah, he was not the director. He was not one of the directors.
Because we saw the people who signed on that asset purchase agreement on behalf of Enacon.
That's correct.
His name does not appear.
Yeah, his name does not appear. And again, to add, I do not play a role anyway in the supply of fuel to any company.
Who does that?
I mean, there is a team. I mean, there is a supply and logistics team. There is a sales and marketing team. There's a finance department. They deal with all those things. I do not participate at all in those kind of activities. So I would not know who, to whom Namcor Trading and Distribution sold fuel to, who applied for what facility. I just do the final signing off as required by my contract and by the schedule of authority.
Yes, we are going to the schedule of authority, Your Worship, in a few minutes. But when we are still there, there is a document, and I don't want you to be caught by surprise during cross-examination.
Yes.
There is a document which I received yesterday.
Yes.
And I think by WhatsApp, Your Worship, I had no choice, but I have to disclose this to the court because I don't want to be accused of saying I kept quiet because maybe the document is incriminating the applicant. But I want to hand up that document to the court and for the witness to make comment on that document. I would want, because the front page is not clear, Your Worship, I can't tell what they are writing there. I want to know from the state if they have a better, clear document. Yeah.
Your Worship, I can confirm that we have, it's the same document, it's not legible to us either. So we have it the same as we disclosed to them.
It's not legible.
Well, some parts are not legible, yes.
I think in those cases, may I suggest that the state simply, of course, the state, there's no way the state will be relying on something they cannot read. May the state just place on record which page, and so that an accused person receive a fair trial. Which part are they relying on? If it is the one that cannot be read, then we move on.
Please go to your worship.
Your Worship, it's the first page, because it was also sent to us via email from the investigating officer. If need be, then we'll ask him to provide us a better copy, if there is. But what I'm saying is that we all also have it the same as they have it. We don't have a better copy. I don't think there is any intention to give them a copy that is not legible.
Yeah,
But if need be, what I'm saying, Your Worship, we can get a copy, perhaps a better copy from the police officer or the ACC, pardon me.
Please, the court, your worship. I will just proceed. Please, the court, your worship. Yeah, so we move to page 3 of that count 4. Mr. Mulunga, in respect of count 4, they are saying that the state alleges that during March 2022 and July 22 in Windhoek, you as the accused person, directly or indirectly, whether on behalf of himself, that's yourself, or on behalf of any other person or entity, then they cite those entities, Namcor, LTD, you entered into or caused to be entered into any dealings in relation to any property, that is fuel station, for which you received the gratification for yourself and for Namcor and for Jennifer Mukwaya and for Cornelius Willems and or Olivia Dunaski and Panduleni Mukwaya and Victor Malima and Austin Elindi. Yeah. So the allegation is that, for you to understand any comment, is that you created the gratification for yourself and for all other entities listed in this count. What is your comment to that?
Well, again, this is factually incorrect. I mean, firstly, I did not receive any gratification for myself. This was a commercial transaction between Namcor Trading and Distribution and Namcor Namibia Pty Limited, where obviously both parties were to gain something from this agreement. And I personally did not receive any gratification, nor did I gratify all these people here that I mentioned. All I did was to do my job as a managing director by signing a contract, because there's nobody else in Namcor that could have signed that contract but me. So I did my job as the managing director of Namcor Trading and Distribution by signing a legitimate transaction. At that time, obviously, everything was okay, based on the agreements that were entered into before.
Yeah, still on this count 4, did you pay or did you give any reward to any of those listed entities and persons in this count 4?
Absolutely not. I did not.
We will wait for the investigation officer to come and give us evidence of those rewards and gratification.
Okay.
Please go to your worship. And then count 5. Briefly, this is no different from 4. It's exact story, copying and pasting, so that the numbers can be bigger and and frighten people. So here, the state is saying that you conspired with the same staff members of Namcor. And they give the names, the accused person sitting here behind. And also with the owners of Eco Fuel Investment, Erongo Petroleum, and the Enacon, by inducing and commanding other people to wit Namcor staff, members listed above, to commit offenses, giving and accepting gratification for himself and for the benefits of close cooperation listed. What is your comment to this vague and the...
No, this is absurd. I mean, I don't even understand what it is that they are claiming. How did I provide gratification to whoever? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
When you were still MD, before you were unlawfully dismissed, were there any allegation by any of your subordinates that you forced them or coerced them to commit crimes,
No.
offenses?
No, there was no such allegations.
Then, 6. 6, again, is about the same motor vehicle. Again, they are repeating, but we have no proof of ownership. We don't know who is the owner of that car. They did not provide in the charge sheet, the annexures. It does not speak to the owner of the car. They are saying you entered into an agreement. Check. You committed money laundering by indirectly entering into an agreement with Victor Simaneka Malima for the purchase of this motor vehicle. Have you signed any agreement with the Victor Malima
Absolutely not.
in respect of this motor vehicle?
Not at all. Not at all.
The investigation officer will bring maybe that agreement.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's wait and see. Okay. 6 is the same story. We don't repeat. Alternative to count 6, your worship. But let's move to the last charge, the count 7. The same story. They are saying the same period, July 2018. You start working in July 2018 to May, and then apparently what you did, Mr. Mulunga, you pretended to Namcor that you as a managing director, you had an authority to enter into agreement with the Erongo Petroleum, Eco Trading CC, Enacon Namibia. You pretended that you had an authority. How do you pretend to an employer that you have an authority? I don't understand. Either if you don't, I don't want to comment on that.
Let me comment it.
Please, I quote you, worship.
Yeah, let me. Yes.
To put open-ended questions to your client.
Okay, any comment to that first paragraph, Mr. Mulunga?
You know, obviously I did not pretend to have authority. Either you have authority or you don't have authority.
What will happen if you don't have authority? Do you get arrested and prosecuted?
No, you don't. But I contended I had authority. Because again, these are not the only 3 entities that I've signed agreements with to supply fuel. We've signed agreements with many other companies that Namcor is doing business with.
But Mr. Mulunga, it may happen that you exceed your authority. And that is the allegation that you exceeded your authority without the board approval. What will happen?
No, if I exceed my authority, then the board obviously has the right to take disciplinary measures against me. But I mean, we will show later, that I indeed did have the authority, as per schedule of authority, to enter into all agreements on behalf of Namcor for all values.
Let's go to that schedule of authority. Please go to your worship. Page, schedule of authority is at page Yeah, at page 259, Your Worship. 259. Are you there, Mr. Mulunga?
Yes, I am there, Your Worship.
Can you identify that document to the court?
Yeah, so this is National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia Schedule of Authority.
Okay, that's it, page. Can you go to the next page?
Yes, I'm there, page 260.
Can you confirm to the court that
Yeah,
at page 260?
yeah. So this Schedule of Authority was signed by the board chairperson at that time, Jennifer Komali, on the 30th of March, 2021. This is the time that I was employed by Namcor
Okay.
Trading and Distribution and Namcor, National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia.
Before you proceed, I note that the schedule, just correct me if I'm wrong, it refers to National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia and not Namcor Trade.
You are correct, Your Worship. However, I will show to the court that it also relates to Namcor Trading and Distribution, because there's only one Schedule of Authority for the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia. So if you go to page 265, Your Worship.
265, Your Worship.
265, where it talks about the purpose and scope of the Schedule of Authority.
Yes, can you read that
Yes.
for the court?
It says the Schedule of Authority policy sets out
Paragraph?
paragraph 1. Yeah. The Schedule of Authority policy set out matters specifically delegated to the Namcor management by the board of directors and provide for management powers imposed ex lege by operation of the law. This policy is implemented to ensure that management has the appropriate legal authority to exercise powers and carry out certain actions for which they are individually and personally accountable. What is most important is the next sentence, which says, the policy also enables the efficient running of Namcor and its subsidiaries.
Why do you say that is very important?
Because Namcor Trading and Distribution is a subsidiary of Namcor.
Please, the court, Your
So it
Worship.
includes, and it goes to Your Worship's question earlier, whether it's related or it relates to only Namcor, the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, Pty Limited, or whether it also applies to Namcor Trading and Distribution. So it does indeed also apply to Namcor Trading and Distribution. And if I can read, Your Worship, also clause 2, the guiding principles,
Yes.
if I may. It says the Schedule of Authority should reduce the amount of detailed decision-making required of the Board of Directors, enabling the Board of Directors to focus on strategic policy issues, major matters of substance and significance, and maintaining oversight of its activities while devolving the day-to-day decision-making to the executive management and other staff employed by Namcor.
Now, when you were going through the charges against you, the allegation by the state that you pretended to Namcor that you did not have authority to enter into, make commercial offers, and sign the asset purchase agreement. Can you refer the court to you the authority you had to do what you did in July 2022?
Yes, I can do that, Your Worship. Let's go further into the schedule of authority. Let me just, because I know the document very well, just to explain to the court, because some parts are a little bit not clear. There are certain levels. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns.
Yes.
There are 5 columns. If you go on page 269.
269, Your Worship.
Yeah, you'll see that there are 5 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you go on page 267, you will see that there are levels where somebody is responsible, where somebody is accountable or prover, where somebody needs to be consulted, or whether somebody needs to be informed. So those
informed, that is a 268, Your Worship.
Yeah. So those are basically the headings of the columns on top.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for example, just to clarify to the court. So if you go to 1.1, for example, board charter. So that first column would dictate.
You are at which page, Mr. Mulunga?
Page 269.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there's a first column actually written corporate governance. Okay, I don't know whether Your Worship you can see that on page 269. Yeah. The second column it says NA. NA then basically means the person responsible, and then the next column is actually the heading is responsible. I think one can actually make it out. The next one would be accountable and approver. The next one would be consult. And then the last paragraph would talk about informed. So I just want to lay that foundation and then go to the specific
Question with regard to authority or otherwise of concluding or signing a contract on behalf of Namcor.
That is 4.2 of the Schedule of Authority.
At what page?
At page 273.
Please, the court, Your Worship.
It says signing powers for contracts after award in line with procurement limits, subject to procurement policies and procedures. So if you go, it says all values. So as managing director of both of those companies, I had the authority to sign contracts related to all values. There was no limit. And it says there, so on top is responsible, is the managing director. And the next column is
approval.
It's approval and accountable.
Yes.
It says managing director.
Yes. And the last one, this is
consult. The next is relevant heads of departments and finance and legal department.
Now.
So it's clear from 4.2 that I had the responsibility and the accountability and the approver rights to sign any contracts on behalf of Namcor Trading and Distribution.
But you heard the state. I don't know where they are getting the allegation. They said you printed them to Namcor because the board. Is there any mention of the board of directors on this 4.2?
No, there isn't.
And you have been arrested, and you have spent more than 2 weeks in custody based on all these lies.
That's correct, Your Worship.
Now, that is the issue of authority. Then the other counts, they related to you gave fuel to Erongo Petroleum, to Enacon, in violation of the credit limit policy. Can you take us to that credit policy, Your Worship? Namcor credit policy.
Yes, Your Worship, I believe it's on page 300.
which page, Mr. Mulunga?
Page 300.
300.
300, Your Worship.
Please, the court, your worship. I want you to identify that policy into the record.
Yeah, again, this is National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, Pty Limited.
Yes.
It's a credit policy. And it was signed by Mr. Engelhard Kongoro on the 14th of November 2019.
So you confirm this policy was applicable and binding when you were still MD at Namcor?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Who signed? Who signed?
It was signed by Mr. Engelhard Kongoro as the board chairperson at that time. So it is the board of directors that would sign off policies. And this is the policy for Namcor.
Please, the court, you show. Can we proceed? Your worship, actually we got this policy from the state because we struggled to get it from Namcor. They were asking us to write some explanatory notes, but we didn't have time. But we are grateful to the cooperation and understanding by my colleague for the state. He's the one who provided me this policy. Please, the court, your worship.
We can move on.
Yes, Mr. Mulunga, I want you to save the court's time. I want you to look at the policy statement, the objectives, and then roles and responsibilities. Let's start with the policy statement. At
Yes.
page 302, Your Worship.
Yes. Your Worship, one policy statement, then 1.1. This policy sets the guidelines for the consideration of extending credit terms to Namcor's customers for the purchase of fuel, jet fuel, and lubricants. The risks associated with granting credit must be minimized by applying the guidelines of this policy and any other related legislation. The objective of this policy is to ensure that all monies that are due and payable are collected within the terms set out by the conditions of credit, thereby reducing bad debt by managing the risk associated with granting products on credit. This is in line with Namcor's overall mission of protecting shareholders' investments and returning profit. Good credit management is an essential component and fundamental part of Namcor's commercial strategy. This policy and its implementation will ensure that the revenue recorded is translated into cash according to the terms of credit Namcor extends to its clients.
Now, Your Worship, we move to clause 5 or paragraph 5 of that policy, roles and responsibilities. Because you remember the main allegation against you and some of the accused person who were then employed by Namcor is that you violated that policy and you gave credit beyond the credit limits as per the credit policy without the board approval. And therefore, you committed crimes and you must be arrested. Go to roles and responsibilities.
Yes, I don't know whether you want me to read all, but I would probably like
Read
to
the
refer.
relevant ones because
Yes.
you were responsible for the implementation of these policies at the time you were at the helm of Namcor.
Yes. The ones that are relevant here, Your Worship, is 5.8 and 5.9. The ones that are relevant to me as Managing Director.
Yes.
Or in this instance. 5.8 says all credit applications above 500,000 should be reviewed by the credit committee and recommended for approval to the Managing Director. Okay? And 5.9 says the Namcor Executive Finance, Executive Downstream, Supply and Logistics, and the Managing Director will take all credit decisions relating to customers, including credit limit determination, and allocation to the individual operating units as recommended by the credit committee.
Yeah. So is there any mention of you seeking approval by the board of directors as far as these decisions are made, are concerned?
No, there's no such provision.
So again, I will return to that at a later stage. When this ACC investigation officer, have they approached you in order for them at least to have a sight or to understand how these policies operate, how they work?
No, they've not approached me to question me, to ask me to explain. I mean, had they done that, perhaps it wouldn't have been necessary to arrest me, because then I would have explained exactly what I'm explaining now to the court.
It's very strange. Because you remember, when you are an investigation officer, you should give a chance to the suspect to explain the allegation or the complaint against you.
Yes, I would have thought that's what happens in the legal circles.
Now, you confirm that these both policies, the credit limit policy as well as the schedule of authority, they form part and parcel of your employment contract.
That is correct, Your Worship. And I can, if you want to, I can actually go back to my employment contract and actually read to confirm what you exactly said now, if you want to.
Your Worship.
Or if the court allows me to do that.
Yeah, you can proceed, Your Worship.
Yeah, just to go to my employment contract.
That is at page 11. From 11 to, Your Worship, page 11.
I will just read the relevant clause.
Please, accord Your Worship.
Section, it's in the beginning. Clause 4.2 of my employment contract.
4.2.
4.2.
Just for the record, this is your employment contract with which company?
With the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia. 4.2 says, Your Worship, those conditions of employment not specified in this agreement shall be in terms of the company's general conditions of employment, policies, procedures, the Labor Act, and the Public Enterprises Governance Act 1 of 2019 as amended from time to time, and its directives in relation to performance agreements, remuneration levels of chief executive officers and senior managers of state-owned enterprises, and sitting allowances for board members as amended from time to time, such being incorporated herein by reference, and which the managing director confirms he is conversant with.
Now, pursuant to that paragraph, can you tell the court or confirm to the court if you violate those policies, you violate your employment contract?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Is there any law in this country, I don't know any other countries, is there any law where a violation or breach of employment contract can lead to criminal prosecution?
I don't believe so, Your Worship. I've never heard of something like that.
If you have an answer, how many subsidiaries of Namcor, of which you were an MD?
2 subsidiaries, Your Worship. Namcor Exploration and Production, Pty Limited, and Namcor Trading and Distribution, Pty Limited.
your terms and conditions of employment for Namcor applied to those subsidiaries?
That's correct.
Or was there a different contract for those subsidiaries?
No, there wasn't any different contract to those subsidiaries. That's why the schedule of authority does say that it's for Namcor and its subsidiaries. So my employment contract basically applies also to the subsidiaries of Namcor.
Councillor, you can proceed.
Please, the court, your worship. Now, your worship, may I request an adjournment for 10 minutes
The
for...
court will take a health break for 10 minutes.
Please, the court, your worship.
Clarified myself like that. That's
I know. I'm fighting for you. Please, the court, your worship. May I proceed? Mr. Mulunga, let's move on. Let's go to page 245, 245. In my opening statement, your worship, I mentioned that some of these issues which gave rise to the arrest of the applicant, they were addressed and they dealt with before. So I want to look at one of those at page 245, your worship. Mr. Mulunga, can you identify that document to the court?
Yes, Your Worship. This is a legal and compliance opinion about PwC investigation and findings. It was prepared for Namcor by LS Shilengudwa Incorporated in October 2023.
Now, without going through the whole report, let's look at the relevant portion of this report. I want you to look, Your Worship, to look at page 247, the purpose and the structure of the opinion.
You want me to read it, Your Worship?
Yes, into the record.
Okay. The purpose and structure. The purpose of this document is to advise the Board of Directors of the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia, Pty Limited, Namcor, of its duties in respect of the recommendations made in the investigation report by PricewaterhouseCoopers Tax and Advisory Services, Pty Limited, PwC, dated 27 September 2023. In particular, we have been asked to advise on Namcor's obligations, if any, to report to the PwC findings to the Anti-Corruption Commission and or the Prosecutor General's Office, as well as any other regulatory requirements which Namcor may be obliged to comply with in light of the PwC findings. For more information, kindly contact Karen Klassen.
Yes. Now, I want you to move to page 148.
248.
Yes. I want you to read the paragraph 1 of the introduction and 2, only 1 and 2, Your Worship.
On Monday, 2nd October 2023 at 1840, we were mandated by Namcor to provide an opinion on Namcor's duties and reporting responsibilities in relation to certain perceived criminal activity at Namcor.
2.
The mandate emanates from various concerns regarding procurement irregularities and unusual data accounts at Namcor for the period of 1 April 2022 to 30th of April 2023, which were investigated by PwC during the period of June to September 2023.
Okay. Now, Your Worship, just to save the court's time, can you go to the B, PwC investigation, and then you read A and B, 6A and B. No, A and C.
Okay. PwC investigated the following matters: unusual data accounts with significant outstanding balances, accounts that exceed credit limits, and accounts with unusual payment arrangements. The payment arrangement is made with Enercon for the settlement of its debt.
Okay. While we are there, can you explain to the court the scope of this investigation, meaning A and C? Because this occurred when you were still at the Namcor in 2022.
Actually, I had left Namcor. I was already suspended on the 4th of April 2023.
Yes, but I mean the subject matter of
Yes,
the investigation.
it's for investigations while I was still at Namcor. So, yeah, I mean, it was to investigate the unusual data accounts, things that exceeded the credit limits and unusual payment arrangements. And the payment arrangements with the Enecon for the settlement of its debt, which is effectively what we're discussing, the offsetting of 35 million back to Namcor for the sale of assets.
Okay. And the paragraph 7, can you read that into the record as well?
Yes. On the issue of the debtor accounts, PwC recommended that Namcor institute disciplinary proceedings against individual credit committee members.
What was this debtor's account?
No, this is, I think there were people that were owing Namcor money.
Yes.
Those are the debtor accounts. So the recommendation was that disciplinary proceedings should be instituted against the individual credit committee members. That was the finding of PwC.
To your knowledge, were there any disciplinary hearings or disciplinary proceedings against those members of the credit committee as recommended by PwC?
No, not that I'm aware of, Your Worship.
Okay, without wasting time, let's move to 249, Your Worship. C. Paragraph C or subheading C, Your Worship.
Yes.
Can you read that?
Okay. Yeah. C says, do the matters investigated fall within the purview of the ACC or the PG?
Yes. What is the answer? Paragraph 10.
Based solely on the content of the PwC report, the short answer is no.
Okay. 11.
We could not find any evidence in the PwC report or allegations by those interviewed that any of the parties involved in any of the matters investigated held any criminal intent in how they conducted themselves. The element of intent being a crucial requirement of a criminal charge generally.
12.
At best, Namcor employees involved may be guilty of non-compliance with internal policies and procedures and may have acted negligently in carrying out their duties. To this end, disciplinary proceedings could establish culpability of those employees involved.
13.
We, however, could not find any evidence of, for example, fraud, theft, corruption, or bribery in PwC analysis of the known facts and as regards any of the parties implicated in the matters investigated.
The last one, 14.
The ACC was established to investigate allegations of corrupt practices in a broader effort to combat corruption, where upon completion of an investigation by the ACC, it appears to the Director General that the person has committed an offense or corrupt practice under Chapter 4 of the Anti-Corruption Act, or any other offense discovered during the investigation, that the Director General must refer the matter to the Prosecutor General.
Very good. I think, Your Worship, the document goes, just to show, goes up to page 258. And is 258. I want the witness to read the last two paragraphs of that report. That's 39 and 40 into the record. Mr. Mulunga,
Okay.
39.
It appears to us the distinction between the two entities, Namcor and Namcor Trading, was not made in the report, or that the names of the entities were used interchangeably.
Exactly.
Given
That's exactly what happened in this case. Carry on.
Given that Namcor is a holding company and Namcor Trading its subsidiary, this discrepancy in the PwC report is material in our view and should be corrected.
The last one.
What exacerbates the discrepancy is that Namcor subsidiaries. Sorry. Excuse me.
Please, the court, your worship.
What exacerbates the discrepancy is that Namcor subsidiaries are not designated as public enterprises under PEGA. Therefore, when Namcor Trading and not the holding companies, the relevant entity under which the investigated matters occurred, our advice in relation to legislative duties and reporting requirement under PEGA, which only relates to public enterprises such as Namcor, may not be applicable. We advise that the report be amended to correctly reflect the names of the entities in question.
Yeah, and then of course signed by
Karen Klaas, the director of LS Shilangudwa Incorporated.
Yeah, I think this is a very excellent opinion, yeah, in my opinion. Please go to you. Yeah, so Mr. Mulunga, upon your arrest, if the investigation officers or the arresting officer of the ACC, Nambao, had approached you and asked you, these are the allegations you are facing, allegations arising from you authorities or duties pertaining to Namcor Trading and Distribution Pty Limited, you would have showed him this opinion.
Yes, I would have, and I would have explained at length the situation and the charges that were formulated before the arrest.
Now, let's go to your arrest. Can you tell the court when you were arrested, Mr. Mulunga? Which date, where, and by whom?
Yeah, I was arrested on Tuesday, the 8th of July, if I'm not mistaken, at my residence.
8th July, that was Monday or Tuesday?
I know the day was Tuesday. It was a Tuesday, so I think it was the 8th of the night, but I remember it was a Tuesday. So it was one day before accused 8 and 9, or accused 7 and 8 were arrested, one day before.
Okay.
Yeah, I was arrested at my residence. It was around 9:30 to 9:45, because I remember well because I was meeting somebody at my house who came also at that time. I was actually just woke up and then I was meeting with this person, and I got a call from Nambao, who was basically outside my garage, saying they need to speak to me. So I told him to just hang on, so that I can go.
Can you speak to the microphone?
Yeah, just for him to hang on and wait for me, so that I prepare myself and then come out to come and meet him outside.
Then you met him outside. Was he alone?
No, he was not alone. I think he was with 4 or 5 other officers at that time, with a van obviously just parked in front of my garage.
Okay. Now, when they came to arrest you, did they sit you down to explain to you the reason why you are being arrested?
No, they didn't. I think they just referred me to the several clauses in the Anti-Corruption Act that I violated, and they, I think, gave me the document that has all those various clauses in them.
Or citing sections?
Yeah, just citing sections of the Anti-Corruption.
Without telling you what you did?
Yeah, without telling me what I did.
When were you informed of the reason why you were arrested?
I think I was only informed, if I'm mistaken, the following day, or actually 2 days later, at CIS, where we were taken.
Just pause.
Yeah, I was in. Oh, okay.
You testified you were informed the following day and proceeded to say 2 days later.
No. I remember I was informed on Thursday, so it was two days later. At CAIs where we were held initially. That is before we were transferred to the Windhoek Correctional Facility. So when Mr. Inambao attempted to go further to explain, although it wasn't in detail, still to explain the charges that I was facing.
No, but in addition to the citation or reference or invocation of sections on the 8th of February when you got arrested, when he came on a Tuesday, July, 8th July, did he, when you were at CS, did he go into details about the reason for the arrest, the grounds for the arrest?
No, I mean, I actually asked him because I think he was also trying to explain to the other accused. And I was the one that actually reached out to him and asked him, what
have I done?
Sorry?
You were asking him why you were there?
Yeah, while there. And
So can you let him testify?
Please, the court, your worship.
Yeah, so...
Apology, worship.
Yeah, so I asked him, so he came to me and tried to explain, although not in detail. Yes.
What did you ask him?
I asked him, what are the charges actually that I'm facing? What are the specific charges that I'm facing? Yeah, and he sort of went on to say, well, yeah, mentioning some of these charges, you accepted gratification, and obviously referring to the ACC acts as well and so on. So I mean, it wasn't in detail, but I think he attempted to explain what the charges were that I was facing.
Now, your worship, on the 8th of July, 2025, at 9 o'clock, you said past 9.
Yeah, it was around about 9:45, I think.
Did you notice that the presence of any media at your house?
Yes, in fact, yeah, the media was when I came to the garage, I think the media was already there outside. Basically at the distance, not at my house, but across the street. And I think, yeah, the ACC also picked it up. I picked it up, the media was there outside.
But who brought the media to your house?
I do not know, but I mean, they were there at the time that the ACC arrived as well. Well, they probably came soon after, I don't know. But yeah, I could clearly observe that the media were outside. But luckily, the van was like almost reversed into my garage. But I was made to understand, I mean, that the whole episode was captured on video and
in social media.
Yeah, put on social media.
Now, the state. No, before I go there, as you stand here in court, of course, facing allegations under the ACC, under poker, fraud, theft by false pretense, conspiracy, all sorts of allegations. Before you arrest, were you aware of any investigation by the ACC against you?
Yeah, I was aware, I mean, for a very long time that there was an investigation that was being conducted by the ACC on these matters.
But how did you know? How were you aware of this investigation?
No, I mean, through obviously the grapevines and sources and so on. I mean, there are people that obviously know these things. And yeah, I mean, I probably knew maybe a year before that already, or a year and a half before that there were investigations that were being conducted. Because I knew that there was a police case registered and the police, I think, referred the matter to the ACC. That's how I knew.
Because one of the grounds of objecting to your release on bail is that you are a flight risk because if you are released, you may abscond. Actually, you will abscond, you run away. What is your answer to that?
No, I will not run away, because if I wanted to run away, I would have run away a long time ago when I came to know that there were investigations being made. So I was around and waiting for whatever results of the investigations. So there's no way I'll run. Where will I run to?
Do you have any ties outside Namibia? Foreign ties?
No, not at all. I'm born and bred here in Namibia.
Of course, you have 10 children. You have
Yes,
made it clear to the court.
10 children.
8 of them, depending on you.
That's correct. I have my my properties. I've got my roots here. There's no way that I can go anywhere else. I want to obviously face these charges and clear my name. So I have no interest at all to run away to take.
The state also says you are facing very serious charges, and because of the seriousness of the charges, you are scared you may be found guilty and sent to jail, and because of that, you will not stand trial if released on bail. What is the answer to that?
No, I'm ready, committed to face trial once I'm released on bail, because I do not believe these charges are strong as it is being claimed.
Yeah. Do you have a passport, a Namibian passport?
Yes, I do have a passport, Your Worship. I did, I think, for my counsel, you did mention to the court that I think we are the first day that we came to court, there was a break-in burglary at my house, where several items were stolen. Some of my watches, my perfumes, and a phone belonged to my girlfriend. Yeah, I think some passports were taken. However, it turned out later that actually people stole old passports.
Oh,
so they probably thought it was my current passport. So I'm made to believe that my current passport is still there at home, and I'm willing to give it to you as my legal representative.
No, are you willing to surrender it to the investigation officer as one of the bail conditions until this matter is finalized?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm willing to do that, Your Worship.
How much bail amount are you able, not willing, because here there is no willingness. How much amount of bail can you afford? Of course, depending on the discretion by this honorable court.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, because I don't have sources of income. I'm unemployed. I'm surviving on my last pension that I have. I'm willing to pay a $10,000 Namibian bail.
And the state also says it's against public interest to grant you bail. So you must stay in custody until the trial is finalized. What is your answer to that?
Well, Your Worship, unfortunately, after starting to work at Namcor in 2015, I've always had enemies and people that coming after me for almost every other year. Any corruption that I'm involved in some sort of corruption and this and that, and people coming after me and newspapers. Nothing so far has been proven. The last one was the Angolan transaction where irregularly transferred 6.7 million, but again, that was proven to not be the case. Unfortunately, I think that's maybe my sin to have chosen to work in this industry, to be Petroleum Commissioner and to be Managing Director of Namcor. Unfortunately, that's the case. I don't understand why.
Is it in public interest to keep someone behind the bars who is presumed innocent in terms of the Constitution?
No, it's not in the public interest, especially when it appears really that the case is not as strong as people thought and as the media made it out to be. So it's not in the public interest to limit my freedom by keeping me in jail while I can actually be out and face the law and face the charges.
Are you, Mr. Mulunga, are you, the other ground for objecting to bail is that you will interfere with the ongoing investigation at this stage?
I have no interest and I will not in any way try and interfere with ongoing investigations. Not at all.
Of course, Your Worship, during our argument, we will show to the court that the investigation in this matter has been finalized as submitted by the public prosecutor. Now, will you comply and abide by any other condition put forward by the court attached to your bail?
Absolutely, Your Worship.
Your Worship, it's now 10 minutes to 1. I think for now I will park, but I will not take more than 10 minutes when we return from lunchtime. Please, the court, Your Worship. Because I want to consult with the client to see if I left anything out before I can close my examination in chief. Please, the court, Your Worship.
Sir, you are still under oath. The matter stands down until 1400.
Please, the court, Your Worship.
Right.